Hi everyone, we're here at the Project Lead the Way Summit in Indianapolis. I'm Dave Dimmett, Senior Vice President and Chief Engagement Officer at Project Lead the Way. We're joined by 1,100 plus educators from all over the country here for our final, fourth of four summits. And we're here learning from students, learning from educators. It's been really a fantastic day today. Just in this earlier general session, we had a chance to recognize our National Teachers of the Year. We also recognized our Educational Leader of the Year, a national award from Project Lead the Way. And I'm joined by Eryca, the winner of that award. And so Eryca, we're so happy that you're here, and congratulations on the great award.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So just talk a little bit for us about what you do, the work that you're doing currently, maybe on a more daily basis, and then we'll get into some of the other things that you do.
So in my district, Elkhorn Area School District, I am a sixth grade science teacher. I teach green architecture and energy in the environment. And then I'm a 4K, so the preschool through 8th grade PLTW coordinator.
Yeah, and the other thing, you know, I've seen you out working with teachers all across the country. You're a master teacher, you're a real leader, teacher of teachers. Can you talk about what that experience is like, traveling around the country, helping educators refine their craft, get ready to go back into the classroom and deliver that really relevant experience for their kids?
It's an amazing experience to be with the amazing teachers that we have around the United States that are getting ready for Project Lead the Way. And it's so fascinating to see when you first walk in, they're like, oh, I'm not so sure about this. You know, they've heard it's going to be rigorous and training. And then by the end, they're so confident and so ready and, you know, so passionate about Project Lead the Way.
So those teachers come to you for that core training. They go back to their classroom, they're implementing the courses. How does that progression, what does that look like when you hear back from them? Do they stay in touch with you? What are the things you hear from them during the course of the year when they're implementing the Project Lead the Way curriculum?
So frequently, when we leave them, we tell them that, you know, our job's not done. We're still here. If you need anything, there's a solution center, but you also have us that are in the classroom and going in that day-to-day training and teaching. And so they frequently will reach out to us. And the most rewarding thing I think about when they reach out is when I get to see that they're part of the master teacher team and they've been chosen as a master teacher and I've trained them.
That's right. Not only have you trained them to go back and teach Project Lead the Way, but later many of them have applied and been selected as master teachers. So they're following in your footsteps, out teaching more teachers how to do this important work. You know, so not only are you out teaching other adults how to prepare students for this really relevant learning experience, you're teaching students yourself. Could you talk about some of the skills that you see students develop during the course of the classes that you're teaching?
Well, I think Project Lead the Way has really transformed our students and has completely changed them, as well as our teachers, because it used to be more stand in the front, you know, or science was taught from a textbook, or even math was taught from a textbook. And now, since we've brought Project Lead the Way into our schools, it's transformed the teachers, and because it's transformed the teachers and inspired them, it's transformed the students. So they get to collaborate on a daily basis. Their level of thinking is much higher than it was in the past. They're thinking outside the box. They're looking for experiences that they can do. And not to mention, as early as kindergarten, we're getting kids that are saying, you know, instead of, I want to be a fireman or I want to follow in my parents' footsteps, like I want to go to college, I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a biomedical engineer.
Yeah, I want to solve problems. I mean, you think about the things, the skills that students are building in your classroom and in classrooms like yours all across the country. It's exactly what we need students to be able to do, right? One of the things that's really been powerful for us is to see the extension beyond the classroom. So what happens in school is a big part of it. What happens in your classroom is a big part. I know you've worked really hard to extend that out into the community. Can you talk a little bit about some of those other experiences that you have for your students?
Sure. So we've invited to the Day at the Capitol, where we've taken kids as early as kindergarten. So our little kindergartners stand behind the booth and they present to senators, legislators that come up to our booth, as well as the general public that's in the Capitol. So that's a real experience that they can talk about their projects in enough knowledge that they can teach other adults that have no idea what, you know, they might be doing on a day-to-day basis in the classroom. And then we just, Project Lead the Way was on so much fire in our in our school district, that we decided, someone had told me about a maker fair in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I said, oh, I'm going to go and check it out. I checked it out and came back immediately to our superintendent and said, for our Project Lead the Way students to get even a more real-life presentation or application or creation of booths and presentations, we need to do this maker fair. And we're getting ready for our second annual with about 1,200 people last year we had in attendance and about 120 booths. A lot of those are our students showcasing their engineering notebooks, their engineering projects, or even the launch kids showing off like the clay brain, things like that.
It's so important for the students to have a chance to present to adults in that way, and it shows them, I think, how important what they're doing in their classroom is in the community, and to have that valued in that way. So I think that's a really great example. Last question I want to ask you, we have a community of learners. We're a learning organization. Obviously, as a teacher, a master teacher, you're facilitating a lot of that learning across the country. Any podcast, book, anything like that you'd want to recommend for our audience?
Well, the most recent podcast that I've started watching is the Project Lead the Way Inspired podcast, and that's when I would definitely recommend not only the PLTW network, but people in the community, business partners to tune into that and be able to see and glean even more knowledge and ideas for their classroom and how to push their kids beyond where they're currently at.
Sure, and that's available on iTunes, but we are promoting that podcast across our network so we can tell more of these really great stories. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Excited to see you get that national recognition, and thanks for all you're doing, not just in Wisconsin, but with teachers all across the country. So thank you very much. From the Project Lead the Way Summit in Indianapolis, thanks for joining us.